In the history of humankind, some punishments chill us to the bone at just the mention of their names, yet few carried the same drawn-out physical agony and crushing mental torment as Lingchi death by 1,000 cuts. Lasting for over 2,000 years across Chinese dynasties, Lingchi was more than execution. It was a public display of absolute authority. Each slice was not designed to kill swiftly, but to keep the victim alive, stripping away their flesh, dignity, and hope piece by piece. From tyrants like Lu Zhi to wrongly condemned heroes such as Yuan Chongwan, from concubines to unstable youths, no one was beyond its reach. When Western eyes first witnessed Lingchi in the 19th century, cameras captured scenes once hidden to rumor alone. These haunting photographs shocked the world, fueling outrage that helped bring about its final abolition in 1905. Lingchi death by 1,000 cuts remains a descent into one of humanity's darkest chapters, where law twisted into terror and cruelty wore the mask of justice. It is believed Lingchi first appeared during the Western Zhou dynasty around the 9th century BCE, but it was under the Qin, when harsh laws and imperial control reached their height, that Lingchi became perfected as the ultimate penalty for treason and mass killings. The condemned would be tied to a wooden post in a crowded square. One or several executioners would then begin the ritual. Cuts were made slowly, hands first, then feet, then chest. Eventually, the arms and legs were taken. What horrified most was that victims often remained conscious through most of this. Only at the end, a blow to the heart or a strike to the neck delivered death. At times, if an executioner felt pity or was bribed by the family, the first blow might be fatal, with the remaining cuts carried out only as ritual desecration. This clashed deeply with Chinese beliefs. Since Confucius, it was taught that the body, given by parents, must remain whole for burial. To be mutilated meant to lose honor and even peace in the afterlife. Across dynasties, Lingchi stirred debate. One early critic was Lu Yu, a southern song poet and official. Though he failed the imperial exam at 19, he later rose to prominence with strong moral conviction. He once petitioned to end Lingchi, though in vain. His words, however, planted seeds for reformers to come. In the Yuan dynasty, Lingchi was standardized to 100 cuts. Still, executions lasted hours. By the Ming, cruelty intensified. Records speak of thousands of cuts. Among the most infamous victims was Liu Jin, leader of the eunuch faction known as the Eight Tigers. Ruthless in power, he destroyed countless lives until he was accused of treason. Emperor Zheng ordered his death. By Lingchi stretched over 3 days, 3,357 cuts in total. Crowds gathered to watch, some even buying pieces of his flesh to mix with wine as a dark ritual. Liu Jin died after roughly 400 cuts on the second day. Another case echoes with tragedy. Yuan Chongwan, a Ming general who crushed the Jurchens, forebears of the Manchu, framed for treason. He was executed by Lingchi on orders of Emperor Chongzhen, the dynasty's last ruler. Calm until the end, he composed his farewell verse before dying. Later, evidence proved his innocence, and Emperor Qianlong restored his honor in the Qing era. Yet perhaps the most chilling mass case came in 1542. Emperor Jiajing, obsessed with alchemy, believed that drinking the blood of virgin girls could grant him immortality. Young palace maids were forced into cruel rituals, until resentment boiled over. A group attempted to strangle him, but the plot failed. Every maid involved along with the innocent concubine Duan was executed by Lingchi. Their families were wiped out or enslaved. As Westerners arrived in greater numbers during the Qing dynasty, they encountered these punishments firsthand. Explorers, missionaries, and diplomats recoiled at what they witnessed. Lingchi stood out as the embodiment of unimaginable cruelty. One rare Western victim was French missionary Joseph Marchand, captured in Vietnam during a rebellion against Emperor Minh Mang. In 1835, he was executed by Lingchi in Saigon. His fate stunned Europe, marking one of the few times a foreigner suffered this death. British diplomat Sir Thomas Francis Wade, creator of the Wade-Giles romanization, repeatedly urged the king to end Lingchi, but the court resisted. Written Western accounts only emerged in 1895, when Henry Norman and George Ernest Morrison published works describing it through second-hand testimony. Then came photographs. The first, reportedly taken in 1890 by American William Arthur Curtis, were said to have been lost. But after the Boxer Rebellion in 1900, French soldiers captured direct images of Lingchi executions. These photographs spread rapidly, forcing the world to confront what was long whispered. One case was Wang Shun, a Qing official executed in 1904. Crowds gathered, cameras clicked, and the barbarity was exposed. A few months later, in early 1905, A mentally ill youth who had killed his mother met the same fate. His death, captured on film, was later used in academic works as a grim study of violence. Facing both domestic outrage and foreign condemnation, the Qing court had no choice. Reformers like Shen Jiabin and diplomat Wu Tingfang led the charge, arguing that such punishments violated both tradition and humanity. Finally, in March 1905, Lingchi was abolished, but only weeks later, one last victim was put to death this way. Fu Zhuli, a Mongolian guard accused of killing his master, was executed in Tianjin, photographed from start to finish. His death was printed onto 12 postcards sold openly, even mailed as souvenirs. With the Qing dynasty's fall in 1911, Lingchi faded as official law, yet echoes remained. In some remote regions, mob justice still mimicked the ritual, proof that centuries of cruelty do not vanish overnight. The legacy of Lingchi lived on through its photographs, exhibited in the West. They became grim reminders not just of China's past, but of humanity's capacity for cruelty when law turns into terror. Even today, historians and psychologists reference Lingchi as the ultimate metaphor for slow, deliberate torment, physical agony fused with psychological collapse. Yet through this dark history, voices of resistance stood out. From Lu Yu in the Song dynasty to Shen Jiabin in the Qing, brave figures fought to restore dignity, proving that even amidst horror, compassion can rise. Lingchi death by 1,000 cuts may have been the most horrific punishment devised by mankind. It shattered not just flesh, but soul and honor. Yet in its cruelty lies a lesson. Justice cannot coexist with torture. Humanity is only preserved when wrath meets restraint. If you found this story valuable, helping you explore one of history's darkest corners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share what historical subjects you'd like us to uncover next. Thank you for watching.